Our next speaker is Toby Roxburgh, Managing Director of Electromotiv. Toby will speak on the delivering affordable net zero emission hydrogen buses in Australia and New Zealand. Toby is an advocate and entrepreneur for transitioning the transport sector to zero emission. He co-founded Electromotiv 3 years ago, which delivers turnkey renewable transport refilling stations, electric and hydrogen, and sport operates and governments in the transition. Toby is an electrical and engineer, has led up to 5 companies in the renewable energy space, and has with over 17 years of experience in sustainable energy projects across the energy delivering spectrum, from education and energy policy through to cost benefit analysis, feasibility, design, construction, commissioning, operation, and finance. His experience covers the transition to a zero emission, carbon neutral world. Toby brings a passion and experience from his work in the energy sector to solving the electricity grid transitioning, including smart grids and microgrids, integrations of energy storage, hydrogen, and renewables into the transport in the most cost-effective, efficient way. His wealth of experience is invaluable in delivering of a new energy project, saving time and preferring infrastructure spending while delivering the project's outcomes. Welcome, Toby, and we would love to listen what you think, how we can go towards net zero emission.
Thank you, Nazir, for the kind introduction. Hello everyone. Yes, I think I echo the minister's opening of this event with their passion for zero emissions, and I'm only talking green, clean hydrogen here. I acknowledge transition sort of side, but we've reached a point now where we can just go straight to renewable hydrogen, and it's quite exciting where the price points are. And I don't need to wait, in my opinion, and I've got a company to throw weight behind it. And so I'll dive into a few slides to give you an idea. So just checking, I'm sharing the right. Can everyone see my screen now? Is that
Yes.
working? Okay. Excellent. So Electromotiv is agnostic on hydrogen. We're not a hydrogen evangelist. We're just straight practical. Let's deliver stuff, and hydrogen makes sense for a lot of applications. So as I echo what Craig has said before, there are some nice sort of usage things for hydrogen, and for us it's just a case of there's a battle between hydrogen pricing, battery pricing, and the associated supply chains, and the benefit is everyone. So the more competition, the better, and we're here to advocate to get things out there, and the price is reducing. So the opportunity is really there's the lack of sort of knowledge around hydrogen and infrastructure and how to do it. The finance is getting their head around how do you do and de-risk hydrogen and buses, and they're used to diesel. This doesn't look like a diesel bus. Is it like a diesel bus? Are they reliable? What's happened? I hear that 10 years ago hydrogen wasn't efficient. Why aren't people using it for passenger cars? Therefore, sort of while I look at it for mobility, isn't it a crazy idea? Aren't they expensive? Don't they cost a lot much to run? So there's a lot of those questions that I think as an industry we need to answer, and events like this, I guess, are good to dispel the myths. So I'm trying to remove the ideas that these things are still there. They're being addressed, have been addressed, and we can now ramp up the hydrogen economy. So to do that, I'll give you a little bit about what Electromotiv provides. So we really sort of dovetail into the vehicle manufacturing and provision space to provide the energy. So we wrap the supply chain behind. So there's no concern about where am I going to get my hydrogen from, which projects, do I need multiple projects, where am I? We guarantee the 100% renewable energy. We supply the hydrolyzers we can deploy on site as sort of that back to base solution is very often the most effective and cost effective. Guarantee reliability and make sure that you've systems to back up things and get resilience where you need it and how you need it. One advantage of hydrogen, for example, is if there is a major disruption on the grid, you need to have local generation or backup solutions, and hydrogen provides that sort of resilience and component. And we're seeing as well having that local generation of your energy. I think that the shipping diesel into Australia is a crazy proposition. We're very vulnerable, and clean renewable hydrogen can be delivered right here. I think we don't need to import any more diesel. We just need to get off and be the renewable superpower that Australia should be. Even New Zealand, with its sort of reduction in sun, is a good location too. And each country now can do its own power and have its long-term reserves, even if it does need to do desalination or other things for the water supply. But overall, it's a simple cents per kilometre method. If you're an operator of a bus fleet, you know what your cents per kilometre cost is to get your vehicles doing what they need to do. If you're a truck operator, you know what your cents per kilometre cost is. So it's about meeting that cost and ensuring that we beat diesel. So the competition isn't electric; it's diesel, and both for electric drivetrains. And it's great to see that the range of manufacturers is really ramping up now, given the low cost electric drivetrains availability. So just wrapping, and I guess another perspective on how we wrap it together, it's the energy supply, it's the training and support behind that transition, it's the refilling stations, and it's the financial wrap, how you need it. So we can come in and support that transition in a small way or a larger way. So it's that dynamic delivery, because every customer is different. And really the outcome is to make sure that they're comfortable in that transition, and Electromotiv, with our skills, we take on the risks that we understand and can reduce the price of those. And I'm a big believer of whoever's best placed to take the risk can give you the lowest price. And so it's really about that risk reduction and how we wrap that risk to enable cost-effective delivery. So green, reliable, low cost. Like a hydrogen bus is a better bus. Like it's 7 times safer than an LNG bus. And most of us would have been on an LNG bus and have not really thought much about it, and have them driven past a sort of natural gas powered vehicle, clean, green. And you've seen them in major cities. There are a lot of irritations behind it, and most fleets are moving away from LNG. Because sort of some of the issues with compressing natural gas and the age of the vehicles. Hydrogen has come back with a lot more benefits, and that simple electric drivetrain just means it's so much more deployable, and it's effectively a gas battery. So it's the low noise, it's very quiet. They do have batteries. They just you're removing that engine noise. The zero emissions, you're creating water. They can clean the streets. They can sort of they suck in the air and clean the air for cities as well. They're now reliable. They've got long range tested systems from all over the world. There's a number of major manufacturers which you can grab as you've heard in this. And the flexibility, you don't need to really think about too much where things are, and they can behave a lot more like a diesel bus. And electric bus can maybe go 400 kilometers, but having a hydrogen range extender or a full hydrogen vehicle gives you a better benefit. And we're about beating the price of diesel here, and hydrogen is cheaper than diesel. It's in a lot of applications, electric. Battery buses, timing and volume as to where that evens out. So that's a little bit about us and sort of how, I guess, a major component in that reduction. Hydrogen production, I know this is a picture of batteries and some wind farms. My point is that there's a lot of things behind the scenes for production, and that supply chain. So making sure that your green hydrogen is produced, and that you're wrapping in the battery with the hydrogen in the vehicle, and you're optimizing what you do. So fuel cells like to run flat out. You're going to get optimization of the infrastructure. So it's about energy productivity, and the higher energy productivity and utilization of your assets, you lower your price. So it's really holistic, looking at how you do things, and we integrate hydrogen into other sort of electric fleet dynamics and provide leases and flexibility for upgrades, etc., just to help optimize those solutions. Pricing. I think a lot of questions, I presume, will be around pricing and what price, where can we get to, how fast is this going to happen. I like this slide. It's been around a bit, but we really are seeing this $5.5 to sort of $6 a kilogram for hydrogen is a really nice price for buses, and you're matching your diesel. I'll talk a little bit more on the next slide about the detail here, but we're really now into this bus sort of pricing. I think if you're at a depot level, you really are able to get starting to get around this price point. And particularly if things can take a year or two to deploy, as the price point is continuing to drop, and production, people are coming out now saying, well, we can do $4 a kilogram for production. So it's just a case of, well, how much can you move the hydrogen where you need to be, how much is it to dispense. And that buses and trucks are really good first movers in this. There are infrastructure barriers, and having a fuel that can be compressed and moved in containers or cylinders by train, trucks, there's flexibility in that compressed market. We don't need ammonia. We can just go and do things now. There's obviously optimization and price points and things that are going to continue. There's arguments around 2030 and 2027 and timings around sort of the end of this slide, that I really don't believe we need to wait for the bus truck market. And now it's a case of, okay, who wants to be the leader? Get in there and get underway, because there's some really nice gains to be had and benefits from being that leader and to showing the way for people. So if we then this is sort of moving on to my last slide. I want to provide some time for questions. Breaking down the cost of hydrogen. So really with projects, and we've got a first one, we could deploy a bus, I think sort of early sort of Q1 next year, with fuel and vehicle. If we're in talks for a few things, but it's really looking at zero emission depots and bringing in a number of vehicles, even mixing with the electric fleet. So there's a few things that we're working on, and we're, as I mentioned before, trying to get to this diesel bus equivalent. So if we go through what production pricing, maybe around $5 to $8 a kilogram, from what we're seeing, and we're pushing the market. We're not coming from a point of a supplier. We're a user of hydrogen, so we're saying, well, what can you do? How can we have a portion of what you do, and what scale do we need, and where are we going to do it? And we're happy to do a couple of different strips. So we may have an expensive strip of hydrogen and mix that with a few cheaper strips and blend and do some things to make it more interesting to bring the price down. So happy to discuss with people sort of how we do that, and contract terms just to really to sort of support production, support the hubs, and then ramp up solutions and really demonstrate what this can do and what the vehicles can support, and remove this chicken and egg issue of, oh, we haven't got supply, oh, we haven't got production, let's just do it. So with transporting costs, like for things like the SA bid in South Australia a couple of years ago, it was sort of on site, and a lot of on site things are going to make sense, but also scale helps as well, and we've got piping and trucking and rail. There's lots of different ways you can do it. So your transport costs can be there as well, and then your dispensing requirements. We're only talking we can put temporary, say a 10-foot container with dispensers, and then you have, say, a 20-foot container as storage, and then we can switch that out once a week or a couple of times a week, or have larger containers. So it's flexible to scale, and so I don't see that now as a barrier. I think these technical things I'm comfortable with, and we're comfortable as a business. So it's really a case of we're really sort of getting down to that $7 a kilogram price, and then in the next couple of years down to that $5.50. And really, it takes a couple of years to deliver a lot of these projects and make sure you've got everything lined up, unless you're one of these early movers who've got things happening quickly. And so we're already basically saying, look, we can deliver you a price cheaper than diesel. It's a long run price of diesel. It's not today's COVID price, but that doesn't take into account the supply chain and what you need to do for diesel and the risk and the effort to get it into Australia. Some things are being priced, some things aren't. So hydrogen is cheaper than diesel, particularly when you put in the cost of ownerships, and just that's the operational maintenance side. And we're really pushing to make sure that the prices of the vehicles are as low as we can. Like hydrogen buses are around, say, $1 million at the moment, but with a few different tweaks, I can see and down to the $650,000 price line. So it's quite exciting what a bit of volume and a bit of commitment on things can do. And that $7 a kilogram is going to drop quite quickly. And so if you're optimizing big things in sensible locations and hubs, I think getting down to that $4 or $5 is quite achievable in the short term. And in 2030, I think $2 is very achievable. So 3 years ago, I might have said you're a bit crazy saying that, but now I'm quietly optimistic, and really, from seeing the price of renewables, just having cheap renewables, that really helps. So you're putting in cheap renewables, DC systems into DC systems, optimized scale. It's cheap. It suddenly, if your price is free, then hydrogen doesn't cost very much. So it's exciting just on a cost basis. And then if you add in the health benefits, which are huge, like we're killing more people from diesel emissions in cities than we are from road accidents. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, why are we still doing this? Why are we causing such huge impacts? Like, just for 20 buses, we're seeing $30 million worth of economic benefits, including the health, the carbon reduction, the jobs. It's a huge story. And hydrogen does have a bit more of a supply chain. So there's not, I echo Nikki's side, it's just cheaper. It's just more sensible. Like, we don't kill the planet, we don't kill ourselves. You look at COVID and you look at the value of human life, we allocate that to this. Like, there's no brainers why we should move to zero emission vehicles. And heavy vehicles just are the perfect first movers. So we're doing it, projects are happening, government is stepping up and providing EOIs and frameworks, and we're here to support as many as we can, and whichever entities and people that want to do things, just get on and do it. So yeah, I'm really pleased to see the growth in the industry and the training and support and transforming our economy. It's now is the time to take stock and really take advantage of it. So yeah, I guess I'm quietly optimistic and still very passionate, and still see that this transport decarbonisation is happening quickly, and you don't see the paddling behind the scenes. It takes a long time to get a building foundations right, and then suddenly it takes off and you see the building. So that's what's happened in hydrogen, and you're about to see a lot of change. So thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Toby, for the nice talk and insights into the hydrogen. I think there's a few questions in the question and answer sessions that you can answer through the channel. I have one question. What do you think? What's the main hurdle in reducing the cost of hydrogen production? Is it related to R&D or it is related to the manufacturing?
R&D or manufacturing? Well, I mean, I think they're both hand in hand. Like, I think if you manufacture a bus, you learn a lot. If you deliver a project, you learn a lot. So I think and we still need the optimization. Like solar farms, we're reliant on those R&D labs optimizing the silicon wafer. Like the solar farm that I've just been involved with, the Bowman one, where it's got bifacial panels now. So it's got sort of panels on both sides. And at the start of the project, we just was having sort of solar on one side. So that's a sort of innovation that happens as more and more projects happen. And that I guess the cost curve of solar, I think that really shows where batteries and fuel cells are happening now, and how that's reducing. So for me, it's getting the vehicles out there. It's been slow getting the electric ones. That's why we set up our own vehicle support division, just to help electric buses sort of get going and people get traction. And so now it's a case of, okay, let's get more hydrogen buses, and how do we get hydrogen buses and trucks going? And so it's and the manufacturing, it's local assemblies, is we can do it quite quickly and get things on the ground. So it's just a case of getting a few like-minded people to make a few decisions and work together. So I think, and you need to get that cross-pollination and knowledge. So events like this help people get that updates and information.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Please go into the question and answer. There are a few questions that might be interest to you, and answer there. And once again, thank you so much for your nice talk.
No problem at all. Thank you. I'll get into the
Thank
Q&A.
you. Yes.